Hey guys, and welcome to the Fish Room. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and it's time for a Tuesday tip. Now, I think one of the things that people are most curious about is how I'm able to maintain so many aquariums and really keep up with my water changes. So today I wanted to show you sort of the up close, dirty, and personal with the particular type of pump and setup that I use in order to be able to do many water changes at once without any buckets. So let's get started and welcome my husband Chris, who's going to help us with this video today as well. So this is the basic setup. We have these drain ports, which is PVC that runs underneath. All of my racking system is over here and connected to this pump that is then run up to the ceiling line and then over to the sewer line in order to get rid of my wastewater. Now at some point we do hope to divert this outside to be able to use in our gardens, but that requires drilling through this block wall, so it just hasn't happened yet. But I wanted to show you guys sort of how this pump works and how I have it set up here in the fish room. It's not exactly perfect, but it really does the trick. However, about every 18 months or so, this pump has to be taken apart from accumulated sand, just debris and gunk, as it works on a float valve system. So once the debris settles into the bottom of this pump, it'll just continue to run as it's triggered by the sensation of water. So if it's sitting on a bunch of debris, it just runs and runs and runs, and that can burn your pump up. So my husband is going to help me take it apart and clean it up and get it put back together again so I can get back to my water changes. So to service this pump, my husband, when we put it in, had installed these couplings or unions so that we can simply unscrew them and then be able to pull the pump out in order to clean it. You'll also see that it has a vent there, but we just pull it out, and then the top, sorry about the cobwebs, the top unscrews, and you can see, again, this is a year and a half, 2 years worth of gross that's accumulated in there. So it needs some servicing. And it's important to do preventative maintenance on your equipment like this, because when they fail, let me tell you, if this thing were to fail, it makes an enormous mess all over the floor. Now, I don't have drain ports run on this side of the fish room, but what I do is just use an extra long hose and set up my siphon to go from this side of the fish room over to my drain ports. Now, when I redo the fish room, which will hopefully happen this year, I do hope to add some on this side as well. It really makes life so much easier to maintain your aquariums. If you don't have to lug buckets and, you know, really make it labor intensive, if you can just stick a hose in there, set it and forget it, like you can with the custom siphons I make that make it so I don't overdrain, it's really handy. Now, I am fully capable of doing this myself, but since my darling husband loves to help me, I let him do some of these dirty jobs for me. Plus, this pump is kind of cumbersome and not that easy for me to move around, and I also cannot kneel at all, so I really appreciate the help with projects like this in the fish room. So again, just undo all those bolts, and then the top lifts off, and you can see that there's water in here. That's because it's been unplugged. There's a gasket, and then this pump. Oh, gross. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Sand, and look, there's a nubius growing in there. See, plants can grow in the dark. Let me grab you a bucket. Captain Cranky Pants does not appreciate the disruption on his little corner of the fish room. He's giving us the hairy eyeball in a major way and doing this thing where he swims sideways to show that he's super angry. Oscars have tons of personality. Oh yeah, that's disgusting.
Doesn't taste that bad.
Look, there's Malaysian trumpet snails, soil, Very exciting. So the way these pumps work is the water comes in and sits in the basin. And then there's this little float here, and as it's lifted, it engages the pump to then suck the water out. So if all this debris gets in here and raises the level of the pump, it can't suction, or if there's so much debris that float gets stuck up, then it just runs non-stop, which is what was starting to happen down here in the fish room. And I think this pump was about maybe $200.
Less than that.
Was it less than that? I don't remember.
So it was like 150 or something.
Yeah, somewhere between $150 and $200, and we did buy it at my local big box hardware store. They're designed for like utility sinks in laundry rooms or things like that. And it's just a really great way to be able to simplify and streamline water changes if you're running a ton of aquariums like I am. I'm just cleaning the gasket so that it seats properly and doesn't leak. I don't remember how many years this particular pump has been in service, but it's been a long time. I think it's about 8 to 10 years this particular pump's been in service with no signs of slowing down. We've never had to replace any parts on it. So it's been a really, really, really amazing investment. And I'll try and put a link down in the comments to a comparable pump or the same one if it's still made, so that you guys can have an idea of its actual expense now. So then you just put it back together, making sure the pipes line up.
This discharge pipe is the pain in the butt to get set up.
And this is really the hardest part, in all honesty. Otherwise, it only takes a couple minutes to do the maintenance on this pump. So the easiest way to get this gasket to seat properly is to actually put the hardware in the lid first and slide the gasket over it. Otherwise, it tends to sort of slip and slide all over the place and can be really difficult to get seated properly. So here it is, all reinstalled, and then you just have to plug in the pump and you're ready to go. So then you just siphon into these ports, goes down this tube, and then once that float is engaged within the pump, it'll kick on and suck the water out. The other thing that we've done is put my dehumidifier on a stand, and then you can run the tube from the little water collection thing to this vent, which goes down into the pump, and this way my dehumidifiers can run 24/7, controlling the humidity in the fish room. As always, I hope you guys have gotten something out of this video. Let me know down in the comments sort of your tips for maintaining a lot of aquariums. What sort of shortcuts or specialized equipment have you gotten over the years to just make the whole job of maintaining aquariums easier so we have more time to enjoy them? As always, thank you for your continued support.